looking to buy your dream home at a really great price? We've got the tips and some you might not expect, like when's the best day of the year to buy a home and how getting personal with the seller can save you thousands. Hi, I'm Chris Kellogg, and welcome to the Secrets of Home Buying. Today we're going to find out the top 10 surprising ways that home buyers can save money as they shop for a new home. My guest today is Beth Hopkins, who is a real estate agent for Coldwell Banker, and she covers both Connecticut and Massachusetts home buying. Beth, I know you can do it. I know you can help us save thousands on a new home. It's great to have you here.
Hi there. It's great to be here.
All right, we'll start off at the top of your list. Number one, which is one of the first things you say we need to do before we start any home search, which is to get a real estate buyer's agent. Why is that?
So often, buyers have no idea what they're doing when they're looking for a home and shopping and researching the comps. And a buyer's agent is there to be able to help you know that you're getting a great deal on the home when you are ready to make a purchase.
That's great, because then you've got somebody who's really looking out for you. Now, what else can a buyer's agent do?
Not only can a buyer's agent give you the confidence that you're getting a house for a great price, but they can also help you get some insider deals sometimes before things hit the market.
Okay, well, let's say that you're my buyer's agent. What are you going to go out? What are the first things you're going to go out and do for me?
As a buyer's agent, it would be my job to go out and look at the comps and figure out for you what sold recently and what it sold for, as well as what's new to the market and possibly what hasn't sold and why. These comps can be used to help buyers leverage a lower price than what the seller may be asking and to justify putting an offer below asking price.
And we'll keep our fingers crossed. Okay, that was just tip number one. I feel like I've already saved thousands of dollars. What is up next for us?
Sure. Moving on to number two. When you're putting in an offer, so many buyers have so many concerns that their offers can get really, really complicated.
Okay, so Beth, how does that happen?
To a seller, sellers want less stress. They want no strings attached. So when you're putting in an offer, considering from a seller's perspective what would be most enticing to them can be one of the best things you can do. Coming in with a clean, strong offer can really put you ahead of other buyers and other potential offers that may be coming in.
Wow, of course you want to beat all of those, but what else can we do to get to the top of their list?
Sometimes there's silly things that people don't think about that can make a huge difference. Every seller, even if they've paid off their mortgage, has expenses that they have to pay each month that they keep their house on the market. So they may have no mortgage, but they've still got property insurance, they've got taxes, they're paying to heat, they've probably got electric expenses. So if a buyer uses that thought process to their advantage and they can close in 30 days instead of 60 days, they are saving the sellers 1 month of all of those expenses. And sometimes that can be factored into a lower offer price. Additionally, if a buyer can come in with a clean offer, one where they don't have to sell a home to be able to purchase, that is such a low risk for a seller.
So you've worked with some people who were in this situation.
I've worked with sellers who have had multiple offers presented to them, and when they're looking through them, one of the biggest things that stands out to them is whether or not the buyer has to sell a home to be able to purchase. One of the reasons that this is a huge advantage is that when a buyer has to sell a home to be able to purchase a home, there's a huge risk involved. And so many of those pieces of the puzzle are out of our control. So having all of that removed and putting in a clean, strong offer from the get-go can really give you the upper edge and leverage your offer over some of the other ones.
Well, that's great because some buyers may not be actively thinking about this, right, when they're looking for a home. So what else can buyers do to make sure they're on top of the seller's bid list, I guess you could say?
One other piece to consider is putting a larger down payment.
They do say cash is king.
Absolutely. If a buyer can come forward with a strong offer, part of that, typically speaking, is a great solid down payment that shows your sincere interest. And to the seller, they know that you truly love their home and that you're ready to move forward and take the next steps. And that's huge.
Yeah, that's definitely something good to keep in mind. All right, number 3 on your list, you don't want buyers to get scared off by a price that is, you think, maybe way over what they should be asking for. You say with homes like these, there's a little bit more wiggle room on price?
That's right. So often, sellers have a number in mind, and while it may be far-fetched and totally out of reach from what the house may actually sell for, other buyers are going to be scared away. So don't fall into that category. One of the best things I've found is that if a home is overpriced and I have a buyer that's interested, I'll reach out to the listing agent and I'll find out if there's flexibility with that list price. So instead of waiting for the price to drop, we may still go tour. And if my client loves the house, we're going to keep our eye on that house. So many houses sit on the market and get stale, and it is the seller's agent's responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen. So while they're going to advocate for the seller, they also want to help work as a neutral body in bringing in offers and truly being realistic with what buyers think the house is worth.
Okay, Beth, can you give me an example where the buyers were really shocked when the sellers came down tens of thousands of dollars on price?
Sure. Great question, Chris. I just recently worked on a sale where the sellers were super motivated. They had been through the process and had buyers that weren't able to complete some of the contingencies on their offer, and their home had to go back on the market. During that process, they had fallen in love with another house and really didn't want to lose out on buying a home, but their ability to purchase was dependent on their ability to sell. So taking that into consideration, we actually came down $40,000 between the list price and what the final sale price was. That was their very bottom line, and it was actually an unadvertised special that we had reached out to clients that had shown some interest. They didn't have to worry about doing any more open houses or tours, so they were thrilled, and the buyers were also thrilled in that they were able to get significant savings right off the bat by purchasing this house.
So can you tell, are there certain buyers that you just know are going to come down on price?
You never know. If a seller knows you're interested, they may surprise you and they may come back to you when they're ready.
And yes, that would be nice. All right, number 4 on your list. This says don't limit your house search, right? You should never count a house out before you start looking and really thinking about it, right?
That's right. Buyers really do themselves a disservice by limiting their search too much. And what I mean by that is oftentimes a buyer says, I know I want 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And they'll only look for homes or base their search off of homes that offer specifically 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. But in doing that, they could be missing out on some awesome opportunities. Usually what I suggest is when you're doing your search, go plus or minus 1 bed, 1 bath. Add square footage, but go plus or minus a couple hundred square feet, because you never know when you're walking through the home what possibilities there may be to reconfigure or to use the space that could really work for you. And if you can get it at the right price, this is a great opportunity to be able to personalize a home and really make it work for you.
Yeah, so you'll have a lot of money left over for maybe a man cave if they don't have one, or maybe a new kitchen.
That's right. So when you are searching, realizing that oftentimes homes don't sell for the list price can give you some flexibility. So if you know you only want to spend $250,000, maybe you search up to $275,000, realizing that there's often flexibility in the list price and that most homes realistically end up selling for 95 to 98% of their list price. So there is wiggle room there.
Okay. All right. Number 5 on your list, looking for that diamond in the rough when other people won't give that home a second glance. You do, and it's the right move and maybe the way to do it.
Those are the opportunities you should be seeking out. Whether you're handy or not, oftentimes you can even contract out this work and still have equity in your house. They say that statistically, opinions are formed within 7 seconds. So many buyers will drive by these homes and eliminate these possibilities simply because the outside isn't up to their standards. And this is a great opportunity to be able to sweep in and realize that with some new shrubs or new siding or a new roof, that home could truly be a diamond in the rough. Being able to look beyond what you see initially and consider what's really important is really the key here.
Okay, anything else we should keep in mind?
Location, things like that you can't change, that's what you want to focus on. But all of the other superficial exterior qualities, those are things that can be changed. So keeping that in mind and realizing that you want the worst house in the best neighborhood, that's the ultimate opportunity.
You're making us smarter and smarter every moment. Okay, Beth, number 6 on your list is finding the best interest rate when it comes to a mortgage. How do we do this?
So some buyers don't realize this, but they have options in terms of shopping for the best interest rate. So when you get pre-approved, you may have gone to your local bank or someone who holds your savings account, but there are several options that buyers should look into. You can consider credit unions, local banks, or mortgage brokers. all of which can do the same service for buyers, but sometimes there's a huge difference in the interest rates that you can get. So in doing your research, I've got an example here for you. If you were to take out a 30-year mortgage and purchase a $200,000 house with 20% down, a 1% difference in the interest rate would save you $100 a month. And while that may not sound like a lot of money, over the lifetime of a 30-year mortgage, that would save you $30,000. So instead of paying that interest, you could have just bought yourself a new car as well.
Yeah, nice 2-for-1 deal.
Car and a house. You can't go wrong.
Okay, what about shopping around for the perfect mortgage? Can you get to one mortgage place and say, hey, this other place is going to give me a better deal? Can you go back and forth and try to get the best deal?
You can absolutely price shop. A lot of, especially with mortgage brokers, they'll want to know the interest rate that they're trying to beat. And if they can, they're happy to. A mortgage broker, if you're not familiar with the concept, is someone who can shop interest rates and different loan options among several different companies. So they're a great place to start as they really, truly can be competitive.
Okay, so where's the first place that you should go to try to get that initial mortgage rate?
If you have a great relationship with a local credit union or bank, by all means, start there. But take the time to do your research and make sure that you are working with someone who you feel comfortable with and someone who has competitively shopped to make sure that you've got the best interest rate.
Great. Okay, number 7 on your list, save, save, save when it comes to a down payment, you say. Now, can you get a home without putting 20% down?
You know, buyers can buy with as low as 3% down, but I will say that coming in with a large down payment really is in the buyer's best interest. If a buyer has been smart about saving and they can come in with 20% to put down on their mortgage, they don't have to worry about paying for private mortgage insurance or PMI, which can cost buyers hundreds of dollars, literally hundreds of dollars every month. And in addition to saving on the PMI charges, they can oftentimes get a better interest rate as well. So it's important for buyers to understand that PMI is protecting the lenders, but at a cost to the buyers. So if you're smart about your savings and you rent for an extra year or you work a couple extra hours a week and save that way, whatever it takes, if you can put 20% down, be able to avoid paying the private mortgage insurance, it is money well spent. Additionally speaking, going back to putting in a strong offer, if you're putting in an offer and you've got 20% to put down to a seller, that's much less risk. So again, your offer is going to be much more appetizing than someone who's coming in with a 3% down payment.
Yeah, like you were saying with that PMI over time, that adds to be a lot of money in the tens of thousands of dollars if you don't get that paid off soon.
You are talking a lot of money. It certainly adds up. And when I was a first-time home buyer, I didn't think it was a big deal. I was excited. I wanted to buy a house. I just wanted to get in. And I personally fell into the trap of not having enough money to put down and eliminate the PMI. And it took me 8 years to get enough sweat equity in my loan to be able to have the house reappraise at a high enough price where I could eliminate the PMI and stop paying over $300 extra each month.
Now, for a lot of us, we could only come up with 3% to put on a down payment of a home. So when do you have to stop making those PMI payments?
Once you reach a ratio of 20%, or if house values go up and you pay for an independent appraisal, a lot of times, depending on your specific lender, a lot of times you can vouch for yourself and be able to eliminate it a little bit earlier.
Okay. Now let's move on. Number 8 on your list, foreclosures. Everybody loves the sound of this word because they know they can save huge money if they can find just the right one. Now, where should we start looking for foreclosed homes? Where's the best place?
There are some great websites out there where you can search specifically for foreclosed homes. Foreclosures can be really scary to a lot of buyers, but if you do your research and you have a home inspection, you can know what you're walking into before you're fully committed. So if you're looking to get a great deal on a price, taking a little bit of risk on as a buyer and buying a foreclosure is one of the best ways to get instant equity.
And it's great to take advice from you because you actually took advantage of a foreclosed home, right?
I can tell you that I personally bought a foreclosure and it was one of the best investments I ever made. I had followed on Zillow. There's an option to look at pre-foreclosed options. I had followed the home for over a year, realizing that the owners were behind in payments. It was something that took a bit of time, but in the long run, I was able to get into the neighborhood I had always dreamed about living in and ultimately into my dream house. And all it took was a little bit of research and following this pre-foreclosure until it actually got into foreclosure.
Well, congratulations. And what's really great, too, I would imagine, is you go in and you save so much money, you have options to either fix up the home or to customize it the way you really want it.
Absolutely. We were able to buy our house and walk in realizing that even if we were taking a risk and there were some things that weren't working, or if there were upgrades and changes we wanted to do to customize and personalize the space, that we would have the ability to do that and still have equity in our house.
Well, that is definitely a good deal. Okay, number 9 on the list. I've always been curious, when is the best season to shop for a home?
Sure, that is a common question. It's a great question. Typically speaking, inventory is highest in the spring. Homes show best in the spring. They're pretty. There's green grass. There's leaves on the trees. There's flowers. And it's just more appealing. But that said, if you're looking to get a great price on a house, shopping off season can be one of the smartest things you can do because not all buyers are willing. There was recent statistic that I read that said that closing on December 26th was known as having the best deals on purchasing homes. So I think it's important to realize that if a seller is listing their house in the winter, it's not because they ideally want to move in the winter. More often than not, they're listing because they're motivated. They have a reason why they have to sell, and therefore a buyer's usually able to get a better deal. Also important to keep in mind is shopping off season also means there's fewer buyers, which is less competition. So you may be able to offer less and have time to go back and forth and negotiate with the sellers versus feeling like you need to come in with a really solid offer right off the bat so you don't lose that house to another buyer that may sweep in and put an offer in.
Okay, now last on your list, number 10. This one I'm very curious about, why you should get personal with the seller to save big bucks. Why is that?
Many sellers are attached to their homes, whether they realize it or not. Personal letter from a buyer, this can really go a long way in giving them a cozy feeling and letting them know that this house is going to go to a nice family and a great buyer. And that can really make a difference.
Okay, so tell me, give me a real life example of this in action and how things turned out.
I can tell you a personal example. I had worked with buyers. The home was an estate and there was multiple offers on the home. And it was at the top of my buyer's budget, but they really fell in love with it. They were a newly married couple and absolutely loved the house, loved the story behind the house. This family had been raised in this one house. The kids lived there until the parents passed away. And while they weren't able to put in the highest offer, they wrote a sweet, loving letter to go along with their offer. And they ultimately ended up getting the house. The letter had won over the sellers who had been raised in that house, and they ended up getting the house even though they weren't the highest offer.
Wow, so that's great. So just being thoughtful and giving them your family story can really help out.
So, I think doing something special and taking a little bit of extra time to go above and beyond and get the seller's attention can really go a long ways.
Yeah, and I'm sure you should probably include maybe some pictures of pets if you have them, or babies usually work to pull at the heartstrings.
Hey, why not? Whatever works for you. I think it's worth a shot.
Well, thank you very much for being on the program, Beth. Really appreciate it, and I think you helped a lot of people out today.
Thank you. I sure hope so. And if anybody does have any questions, or if they're in the process and they want to run something by me, I am happy to answer questions at any time. You can reach me directly on my cell phone, area code 413-218-5549, or my email address is beth.hopkins@coldwellbankermoves.com.
Awesome. We'll definitely stay in touch. Thank you so much, Beth.
Thanks so much.
And I want to thank you, our listener, for catching this edition of The Secrets of Home Buying. I'm Chris Kellogg. It's been fun. For more information on Imagine Podcasting, visit imaginepodcasting.com. That's it for the show. Have a great day and continue being awesome.